Good evening, everyone. The friend who provided the story tonight is named Pez from Beijing. The stories he told all happened in Beijing, and I especially admire this guy, because in the stories he wrote for me, he started off by saying, "The story I am about to tell you is very scary, but this story isn't about me. It was told to me by a former girlfriend." Pay attention. He said it was told to him by a former girlfriend. Well, this guy's experience must be different from ours. And more importantly, he specifically added a sentence later on. He said his girlfriend was more than 10 years younger than him. All of these stories happened to her. And to be honest, I didn't really believe what she said at first. I thought, this kid's just messing with me. But later on, we encountered some things together, and I started to believe her. I felt that my girlfriend wasn't just making things up. So when we hear this, don't you think this guy is even more of a show-off? Did you hear what he said? He said one of his previous, no. He didn't say one of. He said a former girlfriend is more than 10 years younger than him. It's so annoying. Anyway, from now on, I am a lemon. I am feeling sour. I am going to tell you this guy's story. Okay, no more joking. Let's get to the point, because his story is very serious and very scary. The story this guy told happened a few years ago, he said. About 7 or 8 years ago. He didn't say it too clearly. I had a girlfriend. This girlfriend of mine was more than 10 years younger than me, but, the two of us, she especially admired me. She liked me a lot, so I saw that, and I didn't care about the age difference. I agreed. Anyway, we got together. After we got together, it was normal at first. Nothing special, but after a while, his girlfriend kept hinting at him about some supernatural stuff. But at that time, he wasn't like he is now. He wasn't interested in these stories. He didn't want to listen. He would just say, "Hey, why do you always talk to me about this stuff? You're a young girl. Why do you like this? The other girls I've known are all afraid of this. Why do you keep talking about it?" When his girlfriend heard this, it was clear he didn't want to listen. She immediately became very serious and told him, "HMPH, let me tell you something. I don't think I am making this up. I've really encountered it before. And even now, I still feel something's not right. I still often see strange things. I just don't want to tell you about it sometimes. G." As soon as he heard that, he felt his girlfriend was a bit strange. So the first time she told him this, "De Gildo Zegna Louis Vuitton," he didn't reply. He just changed the subject. He didn't want to deal with her. But after a few more incidents, he realized what she was saying wasn't baseless. First, let me tell you, what was the first thing that happened? One day, he and his girlfriend were passing an old street in Beijing. He was going to take his girlfriend to an old restaurant for a meal. Since he was from Beijing and had grown up in this area, he knew the history of this place like the back of his hand. He took his girlfriend to this street. And as soon as she got out of his car, and before they had walked a few steps, she pointed at a small, dark alley across the street and a broken, closed store at the entrance. His girlfriend told him, "Oh, let's not go there to eat anymore." And he said, "What? We're already here. The mutton hot pot is right ahead. It'll take you. It's a great old restaurant. I used to eat there as a kid." "I don't want to go. Let's go." He was a bit angry then. He drove all this way. "What's wrong? You were just asking for it, and you were the one who suggested it, right?" So he asked her very seriously, "What's wrong? Why are you unhappy? Why are you? Why is your mood so unstable?" Then his girlfriend became very gentle. She started to explain to him. She said, "Hey, please don't be angry, okay? I don't know how to explain it to you. Let's go." Her tone was so. It was as if she had encountered something scary, so he wasn't in a hurry anymore. But he couldn't just leave like this. He wanted to find out what was going on. After he kept pressing her, his girlfriend pulled him back into the car. That's when she told him. His girlfriend said, "Can I ask you something? Just now, when we got out of the car, the small alley next to that dark, broken place, that store looked like it had just been torn down. Inside, it seemed like, even the decor was gone. What was that store before?" He heard that and replied, "I forgot what that store was before. I haven't been here in years. I haven't been here in 2 or 3 years. If it weren't for you, why would I come here? I grew up here." Then his girlfriend told him, "There's something wrong with that store. There's a bunch of people standing at the entrance. Some are sitting on the stairs, and some are sitting on the doorstep. I also saw people standing on the roof. I think that store, wasn't a good place before." When his girlfriend said that, he listened. Asterisk. Gasp. Asterisk. That's not right. He immediately started recalling memories of passing this way as a child. Then, the guy immediately got out of the car. From a distance, he looked at that shop. As soon as he saw the shop's location, he started thinking about it. Sec. That's right. This shop used to be a vet's office. The guy immediately opened the car door and went back. I asked him what else he saw. Just that. There are still people standing on the roof, jumping on the roof. When the guy said that, I immediately got goosebumps. I immediately stopped arguing with her. I started the car and took her away. After driving for about 1 kilometer, the guy finally told her about it. The guy at the time, to be honest, was really scared. He told his girlfriend, "I don't know if what you're saying is true or not, but what you're saying is pretty scary. That shop, I thought about it, and it really was a vet's office when I was a kid. Seriously, I am not kidding. I don't mess with me. Can you really see this stuff?" At that time, his girlfriend was very concerned about him. You could tell. He was driving, and when he said that, it was obvious he was really scared. So his girlfriend probably didn't want to affect him. So she told him, "Hey, you're scared of this stuff, so don't ask about it. Let's go eat somewhere else." And after that, no matter how much he tried to bring it up, she wouldn't talk about it anymore. But Peng believed his girlfriend wasn't just making things up. It seemed this girl could really see something. So after that, the girl started telling him, not the girl. After that, the stories his girlfriend told him, he really took them to heart. Plus, after that, they were together every day, and his girlfriend often told him these things. And it turned out Peng also liked these urban legends and supernatural stories. And Peng also told me, "Brother, I really didn't expect these stories to actually be so entertaining, and some of them really make you feel scared after you hear them. I get goosebumps all over." But friends, I am sorry to tell you this. This story, the real beginning, is actually just now. In other words, what just happened wasn't a story. That was just the beginning of him, thinking his girlfriend's words were a little credible. But from then on, he really took what his girlfriend said to heart. But they spent a lot of time together, and she told him many of these stories. At the time, the guy's mind was a mess. But he said, "There are 2 stories that I remember the most. So next, I'll tell you about it." First, I'll talk about the first story. This first story, my girlfriend said it happened when she was a child. Around 2008 to 2009, this girl was still in school at the time. When she was in school, she was interning at the time, in the hospital, with a colleague who was also a classmate. They had just arrived at the hospital. They weren't too familiar with everything in the hospital. Then one night, One night, the two of them went downstairs to get food. But after they got the food, they got to the stairwell. Her friend's boyfriend called. Because this girl might be talking to her boyfriend on the phone and wanted to talk about some secret. She wanted to avoid her friend. She turned and went to the side. Then she gestured with her hand, meaning for her to go upstairs by herself. This girl was also very sensible. She nodded. She turned and went upstairs by herself. Okay, but it was nighttime, and there weren't many patients on this side of the hallway. When she went up the stairs by herself, she realized it was very dark and scary. But she had no choice. She could only brace herself and walk up. Okay, but she hadn't gone far. When she just turned onto the landing of the second floor, she saw a woman squatting by the stairs. This woman was not sitting on the stairs. She was squatting on the stairs. Our girl stopped in her tracks. Then she looked at this woman. Based on her experience, she recognized that this was probably not a person. She seemed to have seen something strange again, but her foot was already on the stairs. The feeling was that she was about to go up. If you turn and run away now, you might startle this being. So our girl pretended to be calm. She pretended not to see her. Then she tremblingly walked past her. But she never expected that the woman squatting on the ground would talk to her. Can you see me? Huh? At that time, my friend's girlfriend was holding a lunchbox. It clattered and fell to the ground, because she said, for so many years, I have seen many strange things, but this was the first one that talked to me. My friend's girlfriend was immediately panicked. She didn't even bother to pick up the lunchbox and ran up. But the woman behind her spoke again. Why are you running? I won't hurt you. I am not the one you killed. After she said this, my friend's girlfriend stopped abruptly. It wasn't that she stopped on purpose. It was because she felt the woman was getting closer to her. The voice gradually got closer as she spoke. Then she turned her head, and the woman was already 3 flights of stairs away from her. But there was a difference in angle. My friend's girlfriend was closer to the handrail. The woman was. She finished crying. The old doctors had to ask her, "What's wrong? Did you fight with your boyfriend or something?" She was just fine. After crying for a while, she told them what had just happened. The old doctor didn't give her an explanation. But the next day, she was transferred to another department. The reason given for the transfer was, "You're not suitable for working in this department." But don't forget, she also has a friend in this department. They went to the same school. Later, her friend told her everything. Do you know why you were transferred? It's because of the woman you mentioned. Some patients have also seen her. They were afraid you'd tell people, or they were afraid you'd be scared and cause trouble. This story is so scary. I think this story is quite scary, and the guy wrote it in great detail. I got goosebumps while reading it. But he has another story. He has another thing. It also happened in the hospital. We have to tell this story. My friends, after listening to the previous story, you already know that this girlfriend of my brother's is a doctor in the hospital. That's right. She's been working in the hospital. But you also know this young lady is not quite normal. It can be said that the time she spent working in the hospital was torture for her. But let's not dwell on those things. Let's get straight to the point. Let's talk about his second story. This second story of his is that the young lady had been working at the hospital for 3 years. During those 3 years of working in the hospital, a lot of things happened, but we can ignore all of those. They're all just flashes. But the next thing I am going to talk about, this thing is unforgettable for the young lady. This thing happened to an old lady. This old lady has been hospitalized at this hospital for over 2 months. During these 2 months, she caused a lot of trouble. First, there was the room allocation problem. Because of this old lady's temper, she's not normal. Plus, she always mumbles some nonsense. Other patients don't want to live with her, but the rooms are very tight. But there's nothing they can do. The old lady has been occupying a twin room, all by herself. And that's not all. This old lady often scares people, some female doctors and nurses, every time they go to this old lady, especially at night, to change her medicine or her IV bag. They are especially afraid, because the old lady always says she sees ghosts. But this young lady isn't an ordinary person. She's Penge's girlfriend. She knows this old lady is bluffing, because she's never seen anything strange around the old lady. So she doesn't really care. And she often takes the lead in taking care of her. And before long, the two of them developed a bond, because she found that the old lady is blunt, but actually not a bad person. She's even very kind. Since this young lady took good care of her, the old lady even wanted to take off her gold ring and gold bracelet to give to her. Of course, the young lady wouldn't accept them. It was just to show the old lady's character. And so, little by little, their relationship became quite good. One time, the young lady found an opportunity and said to the old lady, "Grandma, let me tell you something, just a piece of advice. Please stop saying those scary things. You usually say, it's okay to say them to me. I am not scared. But my other colleagues are timid. They're all afraid of you and don't dare to take care of you." When the old lady heard this, after the young lady finished speaking, she got angry immediately. "Oh, child, you don't believe me either? There's a little ghost in this hospital, and this kid is very naughty. He messes with me every day, the things that get knocked over, and the food. I didn't do that. He's the one who knocked them over. If other people don't believe me, that's fine, but why don't you believe me either? I am this old. Do you think I, an old lady, would scare you?" The young lady realized she couldn't reason with her. The old lady was getting more serious. So she thought, forget it, I'll stop trying to convince her, and immediately changed the subject. She changed the subject, but in her heart, she was thinking otherwise. She wondered if the old lady wasn't just talking nonsense. So from then on, she started to observe more closely. She wanted to see if there were really any supernatural things in the hospital. But what she didn't expect was that after watching for about 5 or 6 days, she didn't find anything. Then she let her guard down. Then, one afternoon, the director asked her to look up some information. After she finished, the young lady had nothing to do, so she was on the computer. While using the computer, she kept clicking and ended up on the pediatric department's files. Then, the young lady saw a boy. There wasn't anything special about this boy, at least not in the first part of the file, but that name got the young woman's attention, because the name was a duplicate. For example, Wang Dandan or Lu Pei Pei. And the name was particularly funny. The young woman thought it was so cute. This kid's so funny. Why is his name like that? But as she was looking, she scrolled down the file, and that's when she found out. This boy had died. He died in the pediatric department last October, and he was only 5 years old when he died. She felt very uncomfortable. But since it was in the past, she closed the file. Don't look anymore. Why make yourself feel bad? But because the child's name was so strange, she remembered the name. She could never forget it. Then, 3 days later, one night, she was changing the old woman's medicine. It was about 1 a.m. She was at the door but hadn't opened it yet. She heard something. The old woman was talking in the room. The first few sentences weren't strange, because the old woman often talked nonsense. But suddenly in the conversation, the old woman mentioned a name that gave her goosebumps when she heard it. At that time, the man was just like us. When he heard the story, he didn't want to hear anymore because he knew. The young woman must have heard. The old woman calling the boy's name. The one that appeared 2 days ago, the strange boy's name from the file. So the man was just like us. He would interrupt his girlfriend. He asked her, "Did the old woman call the kid's name? The kid you saw?" But there are so many people with the same name in this world. Then the young woman replied, "Do you know what she told Peng?" The young woman said, "I know there are many people with the same name. But do you know what the boy's name was? His last name was Yu. His name was Yujej. Have you ever heard a name like that? Do you think there are other people with that name?" Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. Tonight, we're going to talk about a folklore story. When I add to it, it means it's a very common, very down-to-earth story, a very folk story. But this story happened a long, long time ago, before the liberation. Our new China hadn't been established yet. That's why I dare to tell it. Otherwise, with the content of this story, if it was a modern story, I would never tell it. Haha, why? I am not going to explain. We're old friends. You all know. Let's start the story now. Tonight's story is from a brother named Klein Blue. I've known this guy for a long time, but he's always been busy. He's always wanted to talk, but I really didn't have the time. Later, he said he had no choice. He typed up a whole page for me, and he told the story very clearly. It was well written, so I am sharing it with you all. The story of Klein Blue, he said. He heard it from an old man. It happened many, many years ago. It was definitely before the liberation. At that time, the old man telling the story was only a teenager. The old man said this happened in Xi'an. The old man said life was tough before the liberation. But the old man said his dad was a bit capable. He could make some money. So even in that chaotic time, our family was different from others. We even built a new house. But for some reason, right after we finished the house, my mom got sick. Back then, we didn't know what the disease was. We just knew she was weak every day, dizzy, and lightheaded, and her eyesight was getting worse. But if it were a person today, everyone would understand. What my mom had was likely complications from diabetes. But there's another thing. According to the adults at the time, the old man didn't see it himself. He just heard it from the adults. They said there was a blue spot on her lower back, near her buttocks. It was a big blue spot, and there was a hole in the middle of this spot. And water would ooze out of it. Water would come out. So as we just said, if you look at this disease from a modern perspective, his mom had diabetic syndrome. And when diabetic syndrome appears, wounds, I am telling you, they won't heal and will ooze fluid. This is all normal. But from the perspective of people at that time, they thought it was a strange illness. What's going on? This blue spot on her butt wouldn't heal. Plus, his mom's health was getting worse and worse. Eventually, she couldn't walk for more than a couple of minutes. She would lose all her energy, so her family went everywhere to find a doctor for her. But before long, they had seen all the tumors in the area. There was basically no one who hadn't seen her illness, but she didn't get any better. Eventually, they had no choice. The family was at their wits' end. Then, through a friend's introduction, they found this woman. This woman was no ordinary person. They say that, at the time, she was a famous shaman for miles around. But seeing a shaman for an illness, some families, to be honest, believed in it. But the old man's dad was a bit capable. He had seen the world. He didn't really believe in these things. But they were at their wits' end, so they were desperate. So at first, he was hesitant about the shaman. He was skeptical. Plus, their family isn't just anybody. They're considered local tycoons, a big household. Based on this auntie's first time meeting them, this old man's father had a certain attitude. To put it bluntly, he wasn't being polite when he spoke. He always felt this person was after their money. But just that day, while chatting, after not even 20 minutes,